Welcome to NFL Real Talk with Brandon and Kennedy.
Hey, what's going on, football fans? This is your boy Brandon here, back at you for another week of NFL Real Talk with Brandon and Kennedy. We're gonna dive right into this thing, and first, I'm doing this on the Monday night. This is kind of like a Monday night special, and I'm watching, the Saints just pretty much they've been going up and down the field on the Giants in the second quarter. Now, call this what you want, but this is a game that I believe the Giants absolutely have to have. It's unfortunate that they've come to this, trying to win a game that's a must win in New Orleans, but Dallas, they got a big win over Miami on Thanksgiving, and they're sitting at 7-4 atop the division. The thing that is in play for the Giants, the thing that's kind of benefiting them in a certain way, if you look at it, is that they still get Dallas twice this year. They get them in 2 weeks, and they get them in week 17. But that depends on if they take care of business, during these next 3 weeks. Tonight, tonight, when Green Bay comes to New York, and when they go to Dallas, they've got to take care of business in order to be in position to make that Week 17 matchup matter. Now, to be honest with you, they haven't looked all that impressive tonight. And that's a credit to Greg Williams and the Saints defense, and also a credit to Sean Payton mixing things up on offense. But they just haven't looked really sharp. You got Victor Cruz dropping passes, and overall, especially on defense, they haven't looked real sharp. They really haven't gotten in Drew Brees' face, and that's the only way that they're going to be able to pull out one in New Orleans. It's the only way they're going to be able to beat the Saints is if they get pressure on Brees. But, it's the first half. They can come out a different team in the second half. It'll be hard, but I think they'll come back and make it interesting. 127 left in the second quarter. They're on the Saints 37-yard line. They could get some points out of this thing. But I'm going to be looking forward to the second half and seeing if they can make a game out of this thing and somehow squeak one by or squeak one out in New Orleans. But who knows? Remains to be seen. Really interesting week or really interesting weekend, should I say, including the Thanksgiving matchups. You had the Lions and Packers, and which brings me to Ndamukong Suh. This guy, I think, has real anger issues. You talk to him off the field, or outside of a football setting, he's a gentle giant. You think he's the nicest person you'd ever meet. But there's on the field, there's a difference between a mean streak and stupidity. And he's way over that line on the side of stupidity. I mean, to continuously drive another player's head into the turf and stop him when you get up. I mean, there's no excuse for it. There's just no place for that in the NFL, in the game of football. I mean, what type of example are you setting for kids if you're throwing tantrums like a little baby? I mean, come on. And to hear the crap that he said in the post game interview at his press conference, he said that he lost his balance, and that's why it appeared that he stomped another player. And that was the biggest pile of bull I have ever heard in my life. You know, he came back and, you know, he apologized on Twitter, and he called Roger Goodell to apologize, but the damage had already been done, dude. I mean, you know, you're getting suspended 2 games at the least. You know, if it were up to me, I'd put him out for the rest of the regular season. Because I mean, there's no place for that. I mean, it's bad sportsmanship to the 10th power. You know, the guy, you got manhandled on a play. You're not going to win every matchup every time. You know, you got manhandled on a play, and, you know, just take it like a man and move on. You know, it's just, that was just, I don't know, man. It's just crazy. But moving on from that, next thing, and you know I was going to come to it. You know I was going to say something about it. Ready for it? I don't have a drum roll, but Tim Tebow and the Denver Broncos win again on Sunday in San Diego in overtime. They're 6-5. I don't know what it is, but it seems as though this guy, Tim Tebow, is just immune to losing. It's like he's just incapable of losing. I mean, I don't know what it is. You know, and I credit John Fox also for managing the game the way he did, because there were a couple of fourth downs that honestly I probably would have went for, but he decided to punt and put it in the hands of his defense, and we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to the defense in a second, but I credit John Fox for managing the game, punting the ball, and giving it to his defense, and you know, he figured that San Diego would ultimately wind up beating themselves somehow, and they did. They missed a field goal, and they gave it over. But I was watching the game. I was watching in overtime, and I think everyone got a rude reminder of not only what Tebow is, not only, you know, the determined player that he is, and, you know, the never say never player that he is, but I think we also got a rude reminder of what he isn't. And that is a legitimate NFL quarterback. Now, lots of people listening to this aren't going to like what I'm saying. You know, I really I could care less. I'm just stating the facts. You know, he's good at running the option, you know, but there were probably at least 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4 plays where receivers were wide open, and he either missed them because he didn't go through all of his reads, or he sailed the ball, you know, 5-10 yards over the heads. And, you know, it's to me the thing is, in order for him to get better at quarterback things, you know, reading defenses and managing games, making throws, working on his throw motion, all of that. For him to do all of that, I think he needs a quarterback-friendly coach. Now, he had that and Josh McDaniels. But Josh McDaniels screwed up. He got fired. Now John Fox is in. John Fox is a defensive-minded coach. He's, pretty much all about defense. Now, running the option, I don't believe is doing Tim Tebow any favors as a quarterback. It's not doing him any favors in him trying to develop into, a legitimate NFL quarterback. But it's working. They're winning. So, right now I guess I can't really knock it. They're 6-5. They're a game behind Oakland for the division lead. So who knows where it's going to end up. I was chatting with one of my buddies earlier, and I asked him. I said, what had the greater chance of happening? The Packers losing a game, or Tim Tebow guiding Denver to the playoffs this year? And he honestly couldn't give me an answer. I think there's a better chance that Green Bay loses a game because they still got to play Detroit, and they've got to play the Giants. But yeah, I just thought it was a real interesting question. And but I'm not saying that Tebow guiding the Broncos to the playoffs is out of the realm of possibility. I mean, they got Minnesota coming up next week. They got Chicago after that, minus Jay Cutler. Week 16, they got Buffalo, and week 17, they've got Kansas City. So there's definitely a chance for, these guys to, continue to string together wins and, surprise us all and end up in the postseason. But, that's 5 weeks out. So we'll see. Gonna take a little break. Gonna head out, and coming back, we're gonna have Kennedy with our Mayweather segment, only on NFL Real Talk with Brandon and Kennedy. See you in a bit. Be sure to join us next week for more NFL coverage, right here, only on NFL Real Talk with Brandon and Kennedy.
Mayweather.
Hello, everybody. This is Kennedy back again with this week's list of Mayweathers. Today's segment is not going to be that long, My brother still howls and triple fans. Love Thanksgiving. It's the fat man's holiday. So, let's start with today's Mayweather. It's probably the only one. A linebacker by the name of Eric Walden. You might not know Eric Walden, but he plays on the defending Super Bowl champion and 11-0 Green Bay Packers. Now, Green Bay, Thanksgiving Day, beat Ndamukong Suh and his stomping teammates in Detroit, 27-15, to preserve their undefeated mark and go into Week 13 as 11. It's like Week 13 as 11-0. So after the game was over, they all got on the team bus and they got onto their plane and they went home to spend their Thanksgiving with their respective families, girlfriends, parents, kids, baby mamas, you know how it goes. So Eric, he goes home and then something happened where he gets arrested for suspicion of assaulting his living girlfriend on Thanksgiving. Dude, Thanksgiving? That's a day that we give thanks. You're thankful that your team is 11-0. You're thankful that you beat Detroit without Ndamukong Suh stomping on your forehead. You're thankful that, you play on the team and not in the Arena League. And then you allegedly beat up your girlfriend? Why? She overcooked the yams. Didn't add enough seasoning to the stuffing. I know. I love stuffing too, player, but not enough to, allegedly throw some elbows and chin music. Come on, you better than this. I mean, I also heard allegedly that you threw a drumstick at her. I mean, come on. Who are you? Chris Brown? Jesus. Dude, you gotta do better than this, all right? You don't want to be the NFL's version of Chris Brown. That's left to Larry Johnson. Let him keep that while he goes around trying out for every team when they just tell him, get the hell out of here. Don't you got a bar fight to be in or baby mama to pay off? Dude, I mean, oh, Jesus, I mean, NFL's version of Chris Brown. Look at me now. Oh, look at me now. Oh, I'm in a squad car. Look at me now. Oh, look at me now. Oh, prison food turkey. Prisoners love me. I'm on my LJ. Shout out to Larry Johnson. All right, and finally, we're going to revisit my fraudulent five. That's the list I created when we did our first segment ever. There were 5 teams who at the time were 3-1, but I just didn't buy their 3-1. Well, we're like 7 weeks later, and we can revisit those teams. Those teams are the New York Giants, the Washington Redskins, San Francisco 49ers, Buffalo Bills, and the Tennessee Titans. Now, they all were 3-1 at one point in time, but I just didn't buy them at 3-1. So we have some weeks later, and we'll look at their records. The New York Giants are 6-4. Surprise, surprise, the 49ers are 9-2. The Buffalo Bills are 5-5. The Tennessee Titans are 5-5, and the Washington Redskins did not win a game. They're 3-7. Yeah, so they're my first contender on the fraudulent five. I told you they stunk. I mean, Rex Grossman, John Beck, that pitiful offensive line, no running backs, no freaking blessed wide receiver. The pass rush is okay, but listen, the secondary is probably the worst in the league. So yeah, they're fraudulent. Tennessee is 5-5, but I still don't trust them. They should be 4-6 had Baltimore not choked away that damn game. But whatever. Buffalo's 5-5, and they were riding high, and they were almost like the story of the NFL. But then people figured them out. And I don't know why Buffalo gave Ryan Fitzpatrick that big ass contract, because the dude has no arm. But whatever, and he has a really, really bad beard. I mean, for God's sake, she went to Harvard. Appeared like you went there. Jesus Christ, you look like you went to Hobo U. And Fred Jackson tore his Achilles. I mean, not tore Achilles, his ACL, which is a damn shame because he was having a great year. But, they got things going on. They're still building, so they had the groundwork there. The 49ers, I swear, they shocked me. What a difference a coach makes. I mean, 49ers 9-2. Look at Michigan, they're like 9-2, but that's college. We won't get off to another subject. But yeah, they're just playing good defense, running the ball. Their midget hand quarterback isn't making any mistakes, but they have the benefits of playing some good teams, and they'll lose. Like, they lost to the Cowboys. Cowboys are better than them, even though they have a better record than the Cowboys. Cowboys are better than them. Just this Thanksgiving, brother versus brother, the highest rated game in NFL Network history. Little Big Brother beat them because the Ravens are a better team, even though they have 3 useless losses on their record. But that's neither here or there. The Giants are 6-4, but they are like perplexing. I swear. Sometimes they look really good. Sometimes they look really bad. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, most likely they're gonna fire their coach. No more. I mean, the only way he's gonna save his job this time is if he pulls a 2007 again and wins the Super Bowl. But that's my fraudulent five. Surprises, mediocre, and outright embarrassment. Well, it's your boy. Holler at me next week, and we got a new segment. Thanks.
All right, we're back. I'd like to thank Kennedy for that segment, but I'm gonna elaborate a little bit on what he was talking about as far as his fraudulent five, because I just want to go. I just want to show people how one team 1 week can look like world beaters, and then the next week they're they're the doormat of the NFL. And I'm talking specifically about the Washington Redskins. Everyone should have known, including myself, because at one point I thought they were the best team in the division. But we should have known better with that quarterback situation and with that offensive line that team wouldn't be any good this year. Now they just snapped a 6-game losing streak in Seattle with the big fourth quarter comeback against Seattle. But that just goes to show you just how one or two injuries and a shaky quarterback situation can have you planning out your top 5 first round draft pick in the 2012 NFL draft. I mean, that just goes to show you. And one more thing before I move on to picks. Andy Reid should not get his job back after this year. I understand that there was a lockout and there really wasn't a training camp, and or there really wasn't a real training camp. But I just think he's had talented teams before. Not this talented, but he's had talented teams before, and with a legitimate quarterback. But none of those teams have been this talented across the board. But probably the number one reason why he should lose his job is just due to his sheer arrogance. This guy, he promoted his offensive line coach, Juan Castillo, to defensive coordinator. Who in the heck does that? An offensive line coach to defensive coordinator. And I don't know if you watched the game yesterday, but if you watched the game yesterday, he looked every bit like an offensive line coach trying to coach defense. Tom Brady ate them alive. It wasn't even fair. Tom Brady destroyed that defense yesterday. I mean, just obliterated, just pure shredded. And, that's no knock on, how good Tom Brady actually is just because it was against the Eagles. I mean, the guy's phenomenal anyway. We all know that. But this is more focusing on Juan Castillo being way over his head trying to coach defense. So now they're at 4-7. Playoff hopes, just basically smashed now. There's no hope for the playoffs. Doesn't matter if you went out now or not. And, it's a lost season. But if I were, upper management in the Eagles organization, I'd call it quits on Andy Reid. That's just me. I'd start fresh with a new coach and possibly a new quarterback. But, they paid Vic a lot of money. Still to this day, I'm trying to figure out why. And, yeah. So just a really bad situation there. But, moving on to the big game picks, as I like to call them this week. One in particular that I think is gonna be bigger than most people think is Dallas at Arizona. Arizona, they're one of those teams. They're kind of like the Redskins. You're really not sure which team you're going to get, but they've been playing well as of late. Beanie Wells had a complete field day with the St. Louis defense on yesterday, and but I don't know how much stock you can put into that because, as everyone knows, DeMarco Murray, rushed for 253 yards on those guys. And I'm going to take a timeout for a second for the picks. It's the third quarter of the Giants-New Orleans game, and Hakeem Nicks just got the wood laid on him. He's still down on the ground. I hope he's all right. But that could possibly be the biggest hit we've seen this year. Now, of course, the refs threw a flag. I don't know why. He really wasn't going for his head. I think the guy, I don't know the defender's name. Yeah, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. But number 42 for the Saints. But yeah, I don't know if Hakeem Nicks is going to be back in this game. He just got up and he's a little wobbly, and rightfully so. But that should not have been a penalty. They're showing it again. He clearly led with his shoulder into his shoulder. He kind of bumped face mask, but that really shouldn't have been a penalty. But that just goes to show you how soft the NFL is becoming. But that's another topic for another day. Back to the picks. Dallas at Arizona. I think Arizona is going to give Dallas trouble, just like Miami did. They can run the ball, and against that secondary, I think Larry Fitzgerald could possibly have a big game. And I think it's going to come down to a fourth quarter drive again, just like this past Thanksgiving against Miami. But I am picking Dallas in this one, and I'm going to take them 28-16. And next on the dock, we have the Raiders at the Dolphins. And I think this is a big game for the Raiders because they're at 7-4. They've got a game lead on the Broncos, and I think that they really have to have this game because the Broncos have got the Vikings, and the Miami Dolphins are a much tougher team than the Vikings. I think the Broncos will go to Minnesota and win in that one, but I think the Raiders really need to go down to Miami and really make a statement and get that game. That's what they should do. That's what they need to do, but I don't think they're going to do it. I think Miami's going to take it, and I'm going to pick the Dolphins 21-10 over the Raiders. And of course, Packers at the Giants. The Giants really need that game. Game they're in now isn't going so well, but they really need to beat the Packers next week. But I don't think it's going to happen. So I'm going to take the Packers 35-24. And that's it. That's it for all of our... Oh, wait. One more big game pick. We've got Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. They lost a close one to Pittsburgh in Cincinnati a couple weeks ago, but I think they actually get this one in Pittsburgh. I like Cincinnati in this game over Pittsburgh, 21-17. And this has been another NFL Real Talk with Brandon and Kennedy. We hope that you'll come back and join us next week for more NFL coverage and for yet another of the famous Mayweather segment right here only on the NFL Real Talk. Have a good one. We'll see you next week.